Hi, welcome back. In the last video, we have seen how to set up the Laravel, and we have also understood the basic file structure of Laravel project. In this video, we are going to understand about the request, response, and how to write our routes. Let's understand the concept of request and response first. When you are requesting up a website in your browser, you are actually making a request to the website. When the website opens in your browser, that means the server has sent a response. I have created up a basic client server architecture thing over here. So whenever we are making up a request, client makes a request and server returns the response. Every request will carry a status code and the response will also return a status code. If the client is making the request to the server, it will carry some data, like if you want to submit a registration form. Once the registration form is submitted, server returns a message and a status code, right? So that is called as the response. Now client can be your browser, client can be a mobile app, or client can be a single page application. So client is making the request, server is returning the response. Whenever we are making up the request carries a method. That method is how you are making the request. Suppose I want to search some data on Google. I'm going to search some data on Google. So let's say we want to search about Laravel. Now here, if you see, some information has been submitted to Google that you want to search about Laravel, and then Google is returning up some records which we are seeing. So this is example of request and response. But there are different ways of making the request. There are different method of making the request. Whenever a request goes to a server identifies whether it is a GET request or a POST request or a DELETE request. Now when I'm saying that, okay, I am making a GET request means you are requesting some data from the server. That means you want to access some data from the server. When you are making a POST request, means you want to publish some data on the server. You are sending some data in your request that needs to be saved on the server, kind of creating a new record. Apart from this, we also have a put and a patch request. Put request and patch request. We'll go in more detail about put and patch request when we would be inserting and updating the data in the databases. But for now, we'll understand that put and patch requests are used for updating the existing data, right? Updating the existing data, or if the data is not existing, create the data. Then we have the delete method. So whenever you are making a request with delete method, server will understand that, okay, the request is for deletion of the record, right? So these are the standard methods. Whenever we want to make a request, we should always follow the standard protocols. Let's say I'm going on this Laravel website and I'm just typing out my URL in the browser. And here, once you open this laravel.com, this goes as a GET request. But if I'm submitting a form, let's open up this facebook.com, again it will be a GET request. But now suppose if you fill this form and you make you request the login, then that goes as a POST request. Let's go to the page source. We can quickly see the page source also. So here we'll go to inspect this. Let's check the form. Here you can see the form. I'll try to zoom it a bit. Yeah, so here you can see the form, and here you can see the method is POST. The benefit of selecting the method as POST is whenever you want to submit the confidential data, it will not appear in your URL. If you go to this Google search, see, when I was trying to search about Laravel, somewhere inside this URL, you will find that the keywords or whatever you are trying to search is been added inside the URL. So this was a get request. That means whenever we are making the get request, the data would be sent inside the URL, right, as a parameter name and parameter value. And when I am submitting up the request as a post request, in that case we will send the data in the form of body. It will not appear inside the URL. Now let's go to the Laravel website again, and here we see that there is a button for documentation, kind of link for documentation. So if I click on this link, it's changing the URL. Earlier it was laravel.com, which was opening the home page, but now it is having some additional path, that which is docs 9.x. Means this docs/9.x is pointing to the 9 version documentation. If I change it to 8.x, so here you see the URL is also getting changed. That this docs/9.x or 8.x is called as the endpoint. So whenever I want to expose my application, right, whenever I want my application to be accessed, the different part of the application can be accessed by exposing the endpoint. So you can create the endpoint and you can use the HTTP methods to access them. So for example, suppose if I was writing up some facebook.com application and I want users to access their messages, I would have probably written /messages as the endpoint. Now how can we create these endpoints inside our Laravel application? So for this you will go to the routes folder, and inside the routes folder you will see you have 4 files: API, channel.php, console.php and web.php. We'll not discuss about what is API and what is channels here. We'll keep it limited to the web.php for this session. So inside that web.php you will see there is a sample kind of a route given, and this route is actually being used when you are fetching your application, right? First of all, let's go and run our server. We'll run the server php artisan serve. Whenever you have to run your Laravel server, you have to run the command php artisan serve. So here my server is running now, and let's refresh this page. So you can see that this URL localhost 8000 is not having any endpoint. That means it is the base endpoint, right? Base URL. And if you go to your code in the routes web.php, you see you have not given any endpoint name over here. It's simple /. Let's go and change this. Let's keep it as welcome. Okay. So now if I go back to my browser and refresh my page, it's going to give me a 404 error, because the endpoint which was earlier existing / without any like suffix of the endpoint, it is removed. Let's go and refresh this. First of all, file is saved, yes, and refresh this. So now you can see this localhost 8000 is giving me a 404. That means the route was not found. Let's change. Now I will call this by /welcome, and you can see the same page is now appearing with the endpoint /welcome. Let's create a route of our own. So I want to create a route with the get method, right? This is the syntax for creating the route, which will take 2 parameters. The first one is the endpoint through which you want to access your application, which you want the public to access your application. So here let's write it as register. Okay, I'm just writing up a register. We'll not create any register page right now. Route get register. So the method will be get method, right? And register is the endpoint. I want to show some data on the page. Let's write up a welcome to Laravel. So here I'm going to create a callback, a closure function. So this is called as closure. We'll see more detail about it. So here a route get register. So user can access this endpoint, and what it will do, it will return it a message. So welcome to Laravel registration form. I'm just writing up a message. It will not contain any registration form right now. Let's go back to the browser and change the URL. Here I'll call it as register. So you can see this welcome to Laravel register form. So you are giving an output in the browser. You have created an endpoint, and that endpoint is now returning up the welcome to Laravel registration form message. We can return a form from here. We can return up any database content, etc. Everything we can return, and we will do it in the upcoming sessions. Okay, so let's put some HTML part over here. I want to make it a bit bold or strong, so let's doing it a bit bold. Let's refresh this, and you can see now it is bold. If you want to change it in the heading form, let's keep it H3 and H3. All right, so now you can see it is in the heading 3 format. So we have created one route, and we have also understood what is the request and response. We'll be creating up more routes. Like more we proceed with this course, we'll be writing up our form, submitting the data, writing up the links, dealing with the databases. A lot of things are yet to come in this series of like video tutorials. That's all for this video. Meet you in the next video. Thank you.